Welcome to the deep dive. We peel back the layers on ideas you think you know.
That's right.
Today we're diving into something pretty much every software developer deals with, like daily. But it sparks surprisingly fierce debate. Code comments. Our mission to figure out the true nature and, the often kind of contested utility, these little notes in our programs.
Yeah, it seems simple, but it's really not.
Okay, so let's unpack this. What if the very things we write, to explain our code are actually a sign of something deeper? And maybe not always a good sign. It's a bit provocative, right?
It absolutely is. And what's fascinating, looking at our sources, is this strong philosophy that sees comments as a necessary evil.
Necessary evil. Okay.
Yeah, the ideal, as it's often put, is that if your code is expressed really well, you wouldn't need many comments, maybe none at all.
Wow.
So the idea is every comment you write might represent a kind of failure, a failure to be clear in the code itself.
That's a pretty high bar. Almost intimidating. But hang on, isn't there, the practical argument? Complex systems, legacy code.
Yeah.
Without comments, how do new people even get started? That learning curve seems huge.
Yeah.
How does that square with this self-documenting code ideal?
That's a really crucial point, and it gets us right into the nuance. When we say comments are a failure, we're mostly talking about comments that explain what the code is doing.
Okay.
Which, ideally, clear code should just show you. But our sources definitely advocate for certain types of comments.
So not all comments are bad then.
Exactly. Think about doc strings for public APIs explaining the contract, what a function should do, without getting into the nitty-gritty of how it does it internally.
Right, the interface level.
Or comments that explain the why, the really tricky stuff, like why this specific algorithm, or why this slightly weird design choice. Maybe there's a legal reason, or some complex business rule.
I see.
These comments aren't explaining what, they're explaining the why. They give context that the code itself just can't easily communicate.
Okay, so shifting from explaining the obvious what to clarifying the crucial why. That makes a lot more sense. But, even with good intentions, I've definitely been there. Staring at some code, there's a comment, and I spent hours debugging based on that comment.
Oh, yeah.
Only to find out the comment was totally wrong, completely out of sync with what the code actually does now. It's like having an unreliable narrator in your code base.
You've absolutely hit on a critical warning from our sources.
Yeah.
Comments often lie.
Right.
Code evolves. It's constantly changing. People refactor, they update, they fix bugs.
It's alive.
Exactly. But the comments, they don't always get updated too. And that leads to inaccurate, misleading information, which frankly is much worse than just having no comment there at all.
Worse than nothing, yeah.
Because the fundamental truth, and our sources really stress this, is that the only accurate source of truth is the code itself, full stop. If a comment says one thing and the code does another, trust the code. A lying comment. It just wastes your time, breeds confusion, and can even cause new bugs. It's actively harmful.
So what does this all mean for you listening in, whether you code or not? Maybe this applies more broadly. We've got this tension, right? This ideal of perfectly self-documenting code so clear it explains itself through good names, structure, design, versus the practical need for some comments.
The reality.
Yeah, the reality. The key takeaway isn't never write comments. It's more like be aware that bad comments, misleading ones, outdated ones, they're not just neutral. They're actively bad.
Yeah.
The really valuable comments, they're usually explaining the why, not the what.
And, if we kind of zoom out, connect this to the bigger picture, it raises an interesting question, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, in pretty much any field, aren't we always striving for the clearest, most self-evident expression of an idea? So clear that the separate explanation becomes, almost redundant.
Yeah, like making the thing itself the explanation.
Exactly. Think about it. Where else in your own work, or maybe your learning, could you apply that principle? Explaining yourself in the thing itself. Making your actions, your writing, your communication so clear that extra notes become less and less necessary.
That's definitely something to chew on.
Something to mull over, perhaps, until our next deep dive.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a closer look at something pretty fundamental in coding. Comments.
Right.
Most of us probably think, comments are helpful. They explain things. But today we're diving into what we're calling bad comments.
Exactly.
The ones that maybe paradoxically actually get in the way more than they help.
Yeah, our mission really is to unpack these pitfalls. Some are subtle, some maybe not so subtle.
Okay.
We want to show how these seemingly okay practices can, create barriers. They can confuse people instead of clarifying, and hopefully guide you towards appreciating code that's just clean, expressive, needs fewer comments.
Okay, let's really dig into this then.
Yeah.
It feels a bit weird at first, right? The idea that comments are bad.
Mm-hmm.
But the core idea seems to be that a lot of comments, maybe even most comments, end up being either just noise you have to process.
Yeah, extra cognitive load.
Or worse, they become a kind of justification for code that's just not clear. Code that probably should have been rewritten.
That's it. And what's fascinating is how they fall short. Like, take redundant comments.
Okay.
These are the ones that just say exactly what the code says. So, like, you've got I plus plus A.
Right.
And the comment right above it, increment I.
Huh, yeah, I've seen that.
Your brain does this little double take, right? It's completely unnecessary, adds zero value. And, over time, seeing that stuff makes you stop trusting any comment.
That makes total sense. Why read the comment if it's just repeating the obvious? But then you mentioned misleading comments. Those sound actively harmful.
Oh, they are. Much worse than no comment. Because if there's no comment, maybe you're confused, you have to figure it out.
Right.
But a wrong comment, it sends you confidently down the wrong path. It lies to you.
Oof. Like an old comment that wasn't updated after a code change.
Exactly that. The comment says it processes orders, but someone refactored it, now it handles inventory. You trust the comment, waste hours debugging, or worse. It builds this false confidence.
Nightmare fuel for developers.
Eh.
Okay, so outdated comments are bad. What about, like, rules requiring comments?
Yeah. Mandated comments. Policies forcing comments on every function, every variable, whatever.
That sounds like a good idea on the surface, maybe.
You'd think so, but it often backfires big time. You don't get insight. You get developers just mumbling, writing noise to satisfy the rule checker.
Just tick in a box.
Pretty much. It's
Yeah.
like forcing a caption on every photo, even the obvious ones. Just pointless text.
Right. And another form of clutter, commented out code. That's a big one, isn't it?
Huge. People disable code, maybe temporarily, maybe permanently, and just wrap it in comment markers.
Instead of just deleting it.
Exactly. We have version control now. Get whatever you use keeps the history perfectly.
Yeah.
Leaving dead code commented out is just visual noise. It distracts from the code that's actually running. It's like leaving old furniture covered in sheets in your living room.
Good analogy. Okay, what about some others? Things like journal comments, those long histories at the top of files.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or attributions like added by Rick, or even those position markers, the lines of slashes trying to section off code.
An actions kind of thing.
That sort of thing. They all add very little to understanding the logic right now. Journal comments belong in Git history, attributions, Git blame,
Right.
position markers. They break as soon as you refactor.
Yeah.
Mostly just clutter. Comments need to be about the code right here. Which brings us to non-local information and too much information.
Okay, non-local. What's that mean exactly?
It means the comment tries to explain something happening way over there in the code base, or some big system thing.
Ah, okay. It pulls you out of the immediate context.
Precisely. And too much information is similar, just rambling, historical essays, deep dives that aren't needed right there. Comments should be concise, close to the code, explain the why if the code itself isn't obvious about the what and how.
This is really interesting because all these different types of bad comments, they all seem to point towards one kind of profound idea. The best comment is the one you didn't need to write.
That's the heart of it. Feels
Yeah.
counterintuitive, I know. We're often taught comment everything.
Yeah.
But if you connect it to the bigger picture, it's about a commitment to clean code. It's a discipline.
So good naming, clear structure.
Exactly. Naming things well, keeping functions small and focused, making your intent obvious in the code. When the code is that expressive, that self-evident, comments they become unnecessary. It's a different way of thinking about writing code.
So what's the takeaway for you listening right now? It feels like a call to action, really.
Mm-hmm.
Aim to write code that speaks for itself. Reduce the need for that extra layer of explanation because the code itself is just clear.
And maybe this raises a question for you to think about. Beyond just code, look at your work, your communication, maybe a presentation, email, whatever. Where might you be using comments, extra explanations, justifications to prop up something that could be made inherently clearer, more self-evident just by how it's structured or designed, something to mull over?